The twin moons of planet Sharana were full the night Zariah and Nyla were dragged before the High Council. Their crime: mercy. They had refused to kill a group of injured alien children during a border skirmish, according to their people's laws. Showing weakness meant dishonor, and dishonor had only one punishment: banishment. The elders stood in silence as the verdict was read aloud. You are hereby exiled to the primitive planet called Earth. Zariah and Nyla didn't speak. Warriors, don't beg. Their mother had once told them, you'll never lose your honor if you walk with truth. So they walked proudly into the transport ship, even though their hearts were heavy. The journey across the stars was long and cold. The ship entered Earth's orbit quietly. No alarms, no grand landing, just a silent fall from the sky, like unwanted dust. Their pod crashed into a forest, breaking trees and digging into the soft earth. Smoke rose. Animals scattered. Zariah opened her eyes first, coughing. She turned and saw Nyla unconscious beside her. Blood ran down her sister's forehead. Panic hit her chest, but she forced herself to move. Her hands shook as she pulled Nyla free from the wreckage. She dragged her away from the flames. They lay under thick green trees. The air was different here, wet, heavy, full of strange smells. Zariah looked at the sky. So this is Earth, she whispered, her voice flat, tired. Hours passed. When Nyla finally woke, her eyes narrowed. We're not dead. No, Zariah said. We're worse. We're forgotten. That first night was long. Cold wind blew through the trees, and strange noises echoed around them. The sisters huddled close, both strong warriors, but tonight, just two scared girls. They had no food, no tools, no help. And yet, they didn't cry. They walked for miles the next day, deeper into the forest, away from the wreckage. They didn't want to be found by Earth's humans. Their people had warned them. Humans are violent, unclean, dangerous. But they had to survive by the third day. Their bodies were weak. Nyla had a limp. Zariah's shoulder was bruised and swollen. They drank water from a stream and ate bitter berries that made their stomachs turn. Still, they walked. Then it happened, as they were hiding under large roots. They heard a sound: crack, crack. Footsteps. Someone or something was coming. Zariah pulled out a small blade made from alien alloy. Nyla crouched beside her, ready to strike. The sound grew louder. A figure appeared. It wasn't a beast or a monster. It was a young human man. He wore torn jeans, a dirty shirt, and a backpack. He looked ordinary and lost. He stopped when he saw them. The sisters froze, so did he. They stared at each other for a long time. The man slowly raised both hands, showing he had no weapon. Ah, hey, he said, unsure. They didn't answer. He looked at them again. Their golden armor was torn, their faces tired, eyes wide with fear, but still strong. You, okay? He asked carefully. Still no answer. He slowly took out a wrapped sandwich from his backpack and placed it on a flat rock, then stepped back. Food, he said, tapping his chest. For you. Zariah looked at Nyla. It could be poisoned, Nyla whispered. Maybe, Zariah replied. Or maybe this is our first test. The man didn't stay. He nodded once and walked away in two. The trees, Zariah and Nyla waited an hour before checking the food. It smelled fresh. Nyla tasted it first tiny bite. Then another. Then Zariah joined. They finished the whole sandwich. It was the first warm food they'd had in days. That night, they didn't feel as alone. And the next day, the man returned. This time with water bottles and fruit. He still didn't ask questions. He didn't try to touch them. He just smiled, left the supplies, and backed away. Zariah watched him. Why is he helping us? she asked. Nyla narrowed her eyes. Humans are not to be trusted. Then why didn't he hurt us? Silence. For the first time since their banishment. Something inside Zariah felt warm. Not hope, not yet, but something close. The next morning, the forest was quiet. Zariah opened her eyes first. The cold ground had made her back stiff, but her mind was alert. She turned to Nyla, who was still asleep. Her head resting on a bundle of leaves. Zariah stood slowly and scanned the trees. Would the human return? She wasn't sure if she wanted him to, but something deep inside her hoped he would. Just after midday, they heard the soft crunch of boots on leaves. He came again. The same human, same quiet face, same cautious steps. He stopped a few feet away and gave a small smile, holding out 2 blankets and another bag. More food, he said. You looked cold yesterday. Sira stood, silent. Nyla stayed back, crouched and ready to fight. The human didn't get closer. He gently placed the bag on the ground and set the blankets beside it. I'm not here to hurt you, he said softly, looking between them. Name's Leo. He tapped his chest. Leo. Zariah blinked. She hesitated, then raised her hand and pointed at herself. Zariah, she said quietly, then pointed back. Nyla. Leo smiled wider. Nice to meet you. He turned, slow and careful, and walked away again, just like before. Nyla looked at her sister. Why did you tell him our names? Zariah shrugged. He told us his first. T. That means nothing. Humans are clever liars. Maybe. But he's not like how they described. Nyla didn't answer. She didn't trust him, but she didn't stop eating the food either. Over the next few days, Leo came again and again. He never tried to enter their space. He always left supplies, spoke kindly, and waited for Zariah to respond. Each day, Zira said a few more words. Simple things like thank you, good, safe. Her accent was heavy, but Leo always smiled when she tried. Nyla stayed distant, watching from the shadows, always alert. But she, too, began to lower her guard. One afternoon, Leo brought something strange. It was a small, broken device, black and rectangular. Zariah tilted her head. What is this? Phone, Leo said. Old one doesn't work. But maybe you know tech. Zariah took it. The metal felt smooth in her fingers. Alien tech was more advanced, but this was built with care. Humans weren't as primitive as the elder said. She smiled. Interesting. Leo smiled too. Then suddenly, his expression changed. He looked over his shoulder. People coming. Zariah's heart jumped. What people? Leo stepped closer, his voice low. Hunters. They saw something strange here yesterday. You need to hide. Nyla stepped out now, tense. Trap. Leo shook his head. I swear, not me, but they're near. I can take you to my place. Safer there. Sira hesitated. She didn't fully trust him, but the fear in his eyes wasn't fake, and the loud voices in the distance weren't. Either they followed him, it was the first time. They walked behind a human willingly. Leo took them through a narrow path in the woods, covered with overgrown plants. After half an hour, they reached a small wooden cabin. The paint was peeling. The roof looked old, but it was clean inside. Leo opened the door and waved them in. It's not much, but it's warm. Nyla stopped at the doorway. A trap. If I wanted to trap you, Leo said softly, I would have done it days ago. Zariah stepped inside. The air smelled of wood and tea. She touched a hanging jacket, soft and worn. Leo handed her a towel. You can wash. There's water. Nyla still didn't move. Zariah whispered to her, We've survived worse. With a long breath, Nyla entered too. That night, they slept on cushions near the fireplace. It was warm, too warm, it made Zariah uneasy. She was used to cold caves and hard beds, not soft heat and comfort. Nyla sat with her back to the wall, eyes half closed, but always watching Leo. He sat across the room, reading something from an old book. The fire flickered across his face. Why? Zariah asked him suddenly. Leo looked up. Why? What? Why help us? He closed the book, thought for a moment. Because you looked like you needed it, he said. And no one deserves to be alone. Zariah stared at him. No one ever said that to us before, she said. Leo gave a soft smile. Well, now someone has. Outside, wind howled through the trees. Inside, something new was beginning. Not trust, not yet, but a seed. Small seed of something Zariah and Nyla had never felt before. Safety. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the cabin windows. Zariah opened her eyes and found herself wrapped in a warm blanket. For a moment, she didn't remember where she was. Then she heard soft humming from the kitchen. Leo, he was making tea. Nyla was already awake, sitting in a corner, her eyes never leaving the human. He sings while boiling water, Nyla whispered, shaking her head. Humans are strange. Zariah smiled slightly. Strange doesn't mean dangerous. Kayla didn't reply, but her arms were no longer crossed. Leo made them breakfast. Toast and scrambled eggs. It was simple, but delicious. Zariah ate slowly. Watching him, he moved with calm hands, no fear in his face. She remembered how her own people spoke of humans: barbaric, emotional, selfish. But Leo was none of those things. Why do you live here alone? Zariah asked. Leo shrugged. I used to live in the city. But I don't like noise. Too many people. Too much pain. Here, I'm free. Zariah understood that freedom was rare. She hadn't felt it on her own world, not even before the punishment. Later, that day, Leo showed them how to use human clothes. He gave them jackets, boots, and jeans from old boxes. Zariah looked strange in a human coat. Nyla wore a black hoodie and stared at herself in the mirror. I looked like one of them, she muttered. That's the point, Leo said. You'll need to blend in if you ever go outside. Nyla frowned. Why would we go outside? Leo paused. Because you deserve more than hiding. Over the next few days, things changed. Leo taught them words. Basic ones, like food. Thank you, safe, door, tree. Zariah learned fast. Nyla acted like she didn't care, but she listened closely. They helped Leo around the cabin. Repaired an old lamp using alien skills. Nyla built a trap to keep raccoons away from the garden at night. They talked. About stars, about pain, about choices. Leo never asked about their homeworld. He never pushed them. That silence felt respectful. One afternoon, Leo brought something unexpected. A small television. It only played old movies. He sat with them and showed them a black and white film. It was about a man and woman who couldn't be together, but loved each other anyway. Zariah sat frozen. She didn't understand every word, but the feeling. It went straight to her heart. She turned to Leo. Is this normal here? He looked. At her love? Yes. Painful love? Also yes. Zariah stared at the screen again. Our people don't love like that. Leo didn't answer. He just watched her eyes. Nyla noticed. She didn't say a word, but her hands tightened. Later that week, Leo asked something different. Want to come into town? Just for a drive. Zariah's eyes widened. Is it safe? Probably, he said. You'll wear hats. Glasses, no one will know. Nyla crossed her arms. No. Zariah looked at her. It might help us understand Earth. It might get us killed. Leo stepped back. Just thought you might want to see it. Zariah hesitated, but after a long pause, she nodded. They left early next morning. Nyla stayed behind, standing on the porch, watching the truck disappear into the trees. The town was small, clean, quiet. Zariah sat stiffly in the passenger seat. Her hoodie was tight. Sunglasses covered her glowing eyes. She tried not to speak. Leo pointed things out: school, grocery store, bakery, at a red light. She whispered, "They don't know I'm not one of them." "No," Leo said, "but I know, and I still brought you here." Zariah looked at him. "You trust me?" He nodded. "Yes." She stared ahead again, her heart beating faster. They stopped at a small park. Leo bought her ice cream. She didn't like the taste. Too cold, too sweet, but she pretended. A child ran by and nearly bumped into her. Zariah flinched. Leo stepped closer. "It's okay, just a kid." She nodded, breathing hard. Everything was too loud, too close. So many humans. Too many eyes. Leo placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "Let's go." She didn't move at first. Then she turned and followed him. Back at the cabin, Nyla was waiting. She looked at Zariah. Zariah gave a small smile. "It's not what I expected." "What did you expect?" Nyla asked. "Fear, anger, hate, and what did you find?" Zariah looked at Leo, who was unpacking bags inside. She whispered, "Something?" Softer. That night, she stood outside under the stars. Leo joined her, holding a blanket. "You cold?" Kay asked. "No," she said. "Just thinking." He stood beside her in silence. "Do humans always live with so much noise?" she asked. "Yeah," he chuckled. "We're not good at being quiet." She looked at him. "You're different." He smiled. "You too." Their eyes met. Zariah quickly looked away, but in her chest, something had begun to bloom. A feeling no punishment could erase. The days at Leo's cabin had become a strange kind of peace. Zariah helped with repairs. Nyla kept watch from the trees. Leo cooked, laughed softly, and tried to teach them more about Earth. But peace never lasts forever. One small mistake was all it took to change everything. That morning, Nyla decided to walk near the edge of the forest. She stayed hidden, careful, as always. But she was tired of hiding, tired of waiting, tired of always fearing. She climbed a short hill to watch the sunrise, and didn't notice the child nearby. A young boy with a toy drone saw her, and she saw him. Their eyes met. He dropped the drone and ran. Nyla returned to the cabin, breathless. Zariah and Leo looked up as she entered. "We've been seen," she said simply. Leo froze. "What? A child?" "He saw me, face and all." Zariah's heart sank. "Where?" "Near the west slope." Leo cursed under his breath. "That kid lives near town. If he tells his parents, he will," Nyla said. "Humans are afraid of anything different." Leo started pacing. "We need to act fast. They'll come. Maybe not today, but soon." Zariah looked at Nyla, then at Leo. "We have to leave." Leo stopped. "Or, you can stay. But if they come, they won't ask questions." That night, they made plans. Nyla wanted to leave immediately, go deeper, into the wild. But Leo had another idea. "There's an old storm shelter near the lake, hidden. My dad used to use it during floods. You can stay there if the town comes searching." Zira hesitated. "Why are you still helping us?" Leo looked at her, serious now. "Because I care." Zira felt a strange warmth in her chest. A word came to mind, but she didn't say it. The next day, It began. First came the whispers in town. Then came the armed men. Leo heard it from a friend on his old radio. Creatures spotted near the woods. It's possible danger. Town patrols organizing. It was real now. They're coming. He said. Soraya and Nyla gathered their small things quickly. But then Leo shocked them. I'm going with you. Nyla stared at him. What? You'll need someone who knows the area. And they'll look for me anyway, once they know I was helping. Soraya frowned. You'd be hunted too. Leo nodded. Then I'll run with you. Nyla shook her head. Why would you throw your life away? Leo looked at Soraya. I already found something worth protecting. Soraya's eyes widened. For a second, she forgot to breathe. They ran that night. No lights, no sound, just shadows between trees. The sisters moved like ghosts. Leo followed, his boots quiet against the forest floor behind them. The lights of town patrols glowed like fireflies, bright, angry, and getting closer. They reached the storm shelter before sunrise. It was a low metal door hidden under a dead tree. Leo pulled it open. The stairs creaked as they descended. It smelled like dust and old tools. Not comfortable, but safe. Inside, they rested. Nyla sat near the exit, her blade ready. Leo lit a small lantern. Soraya sat beside him on a box of canned food. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what? Leo asked. For bringing this to you. Leo looked at her with soft eyes. You didn't bring trouble. You brought truth. Soraya's voice cracked. We were sent here as punishment. I know, he said. We were supposed to suffer. Leo took her hand. You did. Soraya's fingers trembled. But maybe now, you don't have to suffer alone. Suddenly, above them, boots crushed dry leaves. Voices, flashlights. Closer, Nyla whispered. They're here. Everyone went. Silent. Footsteps moved slowly over the metal door but didn't stop. They passed. For now, they waited in the shelter for 2 more days. Leo rationed food. Soraya kept count of hours. Nyla listened at the door. On the 3rd day, it rained hard. Thunder shook the shelter walls. Soraya couldn't sleep. She looked at Leo, sitting with a map in his lap, eyes heavy with tiredness. Why did you really stay? She asked. Leo looked up. Because when I saw you that first day, I saw something broken, and I know what that feels like. Soraya leaned closer. And now I see someone strong, he said. Someone worth fighting for. There. Eyes met this time. She didn't look away. Outside, the world still hunted them. But inside that tiny, dark shelter, something powerful had been exposed. Not just their secret, but their hearts. The 3rd night in the storm shelter was silent. Too silent. Nyla sat by the metal door with her blade resting on her knee. Her ears twitched at every sound, every crackle of rain above. Soraya lay on a blanket nearby, half asleep, and Leo leaned against a wall, trying to act calm. But everyone was on edge. They had escaped once. They knew they wouldn't be lucky again by morning. The rain stopped. Soraya stepped outside for a breath of fresh air. Birds chirped. The forest smelled like wet soil and moss. It felt peaceful, but that peace shattered when they saw the black drone. It hovered silently above the trees. Blinking red, Leo cursed. They're using search tech now. That means they're serious. They found us, Nyla said, pulling Soraya back into the shelter. No, Leo said. Not yet. But they're close. We need to move. Soraya's eyes narrowed. Where? Leo unfolded the old map again. There's an abandoned ranger station deep in the hills. No one goes there. No cameras. We'll be safe for a while. Nyla didn't like the plan. We can't keep running forever. Then we stop running when they stop hunting, Leo replied. Soraya nodded. Let's go, before they do find us. They packed quickly. Only essentials. Food, water, the strange broken device Leo once gave them, and hope. They moved through thick forest, crossing muddy paths and small streams. The journey took hours. By midday, Zariah noticed something strange. Leo kept checking over his shoulder. Nyla saw it too. "You hear something?" she asked. Leo shook his head too quickly. "No, just ... making sure we're not being followed." Syrah narrowed her eyes but said nothing. When they reached the ranger station, it looked even worse than Leo described. Wood rotting, roof broken, one wall covered in moss, but it had 4 walls, and a lock. It was enough. Zariah explored the inside while Nyla set up small defense traps. Leo sat by the window, staring at the woods like something was chasing him from inside his own thoughts. That night, they lit a small fire in the corner fireplace. Nyla dozed off first, knife under her arm. Zariah sat beside Leo, who hadn't said much since they arrived. She looked at him. "Something's wrong." Leo forced a smile. "Just tired." "No," she said. "Your eyes, they're hiding something." He took a deep breath. Then he said it. "They captured my cousin." Zariah blinked. "What?" Leo's voice was low. "He's in the town patrol. They caught him talking about me. Said I might be helping the creatures. So they took him." Zariah's chest tightened. "That's why you're nervous." Leo looked down. "They made me a deal." Zariah's voice turned sharp. "What deal?" Leo hesitated. Nyla woke up then. She had been pretending to sleep. "Tell us," she demanded. Leo's face looked sick with guilt. "They said if I brought you in, they'd let him go. No charges." Silence. Dead, sharp silence. Zariah's voice was calm, but cold. "Were you going to do it?" Leo shook his head hard. "No, I swear. I couldn't. That's why I told you. I thought you should know. But I didn't tell them where you are. I never will." Nyla stood, her blade already drawn. "How do we know you're not lying again?" Leo raised his hands. "Because I'm still here, right? If I was going to betray you, I would have done it already." Zariah stood between them. Her voice trembled. "You should have told us sooner." "I know," Leo whispered. She looked at him for a long time, then turned away. That night, no one slept. The trust that had started to bloom was cracked, not broken, but not whole either. The next morning, they planned to leave again. But fate was faster. Before sunrise, a voice echoed. "Through the forest, come out peacefully. You are surrounded." Nyla ran to the window. Dozens of armed humans were moving in from all sides. Zariah's heart pounded. "They tracked us." "No," Nyla said. "He told them." Leo grabbed her arm. "I didn't. I swear. I never left." "I didn't call anyone." Then it hit Zariah. She opened the small pouch from Leo's bag. Inside, the broken phone he once gave them. Blinked. A hidden tracker. Her eyes filled with pain. Leo stared in horror. No, I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know." Zariah threw the device across the floor. "It doesn't matter now." Nyla grabbed her sister. "We have to fight." "No," Zariah said. "We escape." Leo stood. "I'll help." Zariah didn't look at him. "Stay if you want. But we're done trusting you." They broke through the back wall of the ranger station, where Nyla had loosened the boards, just in case. They ran into the trees, ducking under laser sights and loud voices. Bullets flew past. Branches snapped. Zariah kept moving, blood roaring in her ears. Beside her, Nyla fought like a shadow, silent, deadly, precise. Leo stayed behind. Or maybe he didn't. Zariah didn't look back. She couldn't. They reached a hidden cave by dusk. They were safe for now, but the betrayal left a wound. Deeper than bullets, Nyla sat by the fire, shaking her head. "I told you, humans lie." Zariah looked at the stars. "I don't think he meant to, but he still did," Nyla said. Zariah didn't answer, because she didn't know if she wanted to forgive him, or if she still wanted to believe in him. The cave was dark, cold, and silent. Zariah sat with her arms wrapped around her knees, staring at the flickering fire Nyla had made from broken branches. Water dripped slowly from the rocks above. Nyla stood at the entrance, her back straight, her face hard. Neither of them had spoken in hours. Their breaths were visible in the cold, but their hearts were even colder. They had trusted a human, and the world nearly burned for it. Zariah kept replaying Leo's face in her mind. The guilt in his eyes, the pain in his voice. Did he really not know about the tracker? Or did he lie with every smile? She didn't have an answer. She wasn't sure she wanted one. Nyla finally broke the silence. "We should leave this planet." Zariah looked up. "How?" "We still have the broken ship. If we can repair the core, we can send a signal. Our kind may not answer, but someone will." Zariah hesitated. "And if they come to finish the punishment?" Nyla's eyes narrowed. "Better to face them than be hunted here like animals." Zariah didn't reply, because part of her didn't want to leave, and she hated that truth. The next morning, they set off toward the crash site. It was buried deep in the forest, half covered in vines and dirt. The smell of smoke still lingered in the air, even after so many days. Zariah crawled into the wreckage and found the emergency core. It was cracked, but the signal unit was intact. "We can boost this," she said. "With enough power, it might send a short burst." Nyla helped her gather parts: alien wires, metal plates, human batteries from Leo's cabin. Still in her bag, they worked in silence. Like soldiers, like sisters, but no longer like survivors as they worked. Zariah noticed something in the grass. A leather pouch. Leo's pouch. She froze. Nyla walked over. "What is it?" Zariah opened it slowly. Inside were food packs, water capsules, and a folded note. She read it in silence. "Then read it again." Nyla watched carefully. "What does it say?" Zariah whispered the words, "I never meant to hurt you. I didn't know about the tracker. If you see this, I hope you're alive. I still believe in you." Leo Nyla scoffed. More words. It's easy to write, easy to fake. But Zariah's hands were shaking, because deep down, she didn't believe he was lying. And that terrified her. That night, they stayed in the broken ship. The cold wind howled outside. The stars looked brighter. Zariah sat at the edge of the wreck. Watching the forest, she didn't hear Nyla walk up behind her. "You still care for him?" Zariah didn't answer. Nyla sat beside her. "You're not weak," she said quietly. "I know what you're feeling. You think your heart betrayed your duty." Zariah looked down. "I don't know what I feel anymore." Nyla placed a hand on her shoulder. "For what it's worth, I think he tried." Zariah blinked. Nyla had never said anything kind about Leo. Not once, but maybe. Even she saw something had changed. The next day, they powered the signal unit. The light flickered blue. The pulse fired into the sky. A message sent no answer. But at least, they tried. 3 days passed. Then, as the sun set, a shadow moved at the edge of the forest. Nyla grabbed her blade. Zariah stood, heart racing. Then he stepped out. Leo, his shirt was torn. His hands were scraped, but his eyes, they hadn't changed. He didn't move closer. He just raised both hands. "I didn't come to trap you." Zariah stared at him. "Why are you here?" she asked. "To say goodbye," Leo said softly. "I thought maybe you'd want to leave this planet. I wanted to see you one last time, to thank you for making me feel alive again." Nyla looked at Zariah. She gave a small nod. Dan stepped back. Zariah walked toward him slowly. "Why should I believe you now?" "You shouldn't," he said, "but I hoped. Maybe your heart still does." Zariah stopped just in front of him. Tears filled her eyes. Then, slowly, she reached out and touched his hand. Warm, real, not a dream. "You still believe in me," she whispered. "Double quotes, always," he replied. That night, Leo sat with them by the fire inside the broken ship. He didn't ask for anything. He didn't try to explain more. He just listened, and for the first time, Zariah laughed. Just a little. But it was enough. Nyla smiled, quietly, because for the first time, this strange world felt like home. The night was quiet, but not empty. Inside the broken alien ship, a small fire crackled. Zariah sat beside Leo, their shoulders barely touching. Nyla rested with her back against the far wall, eyes half closed but fully aware. No one spoke for a long time. They didn't need to. Sometimes silence is a language too. When morning came, the sky was red and gold. Birds chirped. The forest smelled of new life. Zariah stepped outside and looked up. Something flashed. A light, then another. She called out, "Nyla, Leo, come quick." The three of them stood together, staring at the distant object breaking through the clouds. It was smooth, metallic, alien. A ship. Their message had been received by noon. The alien craft hovered silently above the crash site. It didn't land, simply waited. A voice came from the small device in Zariah's hand. "This is Commander Velen of the Sharana High Council. You may return now. Your punishment is complete. We will not harm the human." Nyla stiffened. "How do they know about Leo?" "They were watching," Zariah said quietly. "They always were." Leo looked at her, confused. "You can go home. Now, that's good. Right?" Zariah didn't answer. She looked at Nyla, then at the trees, the broken ship, the world that once felt like a prison, and then at Leo. Later, they packed. But this time, it wasn't out of fear. It was to choose. Nyla sat on the wing of the broken ship, sharpening her blade. "You want to stay, don't you?" she asked without looking up. Zariah nodded slowly. "Part of me does, and the other part, still afraid." Nyla paused. "You know, I used to believe that love made us weak." Zariah turned to her. "And now," Nyla smiled slightly, "now I think love is the only thing that ever made us strong." Zariah sat beside her sister. "What will you do?" Nyla looked at the trees. "A world never accepted us. I'll be. This one did. Maybe not all of it, but him. He did." They both looked at Leo, who was crouched near the fire, fixing a water flask, completely unaware of the storm going on in their hearts. At dusk, Zariah sent a message back to the hovering ship. One word declined. The ship lingered for an hour. Then it disappeared into the sky, without a sound. No threat. No anger, just acceptance. Their punishment had ended, but their choice had just begun. That night, the three of them sat by the fire again. Zariah finally spoke. "We're staying." Leo looked at her, eyes wide. "You, really?" "Yes," she said. "Earth is rough, loud, chaotic, but so is life." He smiled. "I can teach you more things." "I'd like that," Zariah whispered. Then Nyla added, "But if you betray us again, I'll turn you into a campfire." Leo laughed nervously. Fair enough. In the weeks that followed, the forest changed. Zariah and Nyla cleaned up the broken ship and turned it into a small home. Leo helped with solar panels, water filters, and earth tech. They learned how to farm. They built a fence. They created something neither alien nor humans, something new. Zariah spent her mornings collecting fruits. Her nights were filled with stories by firelight. Leo would draw stars in the dirt and tell her which one he wished on as a child. And sometimes she'd catch him staring at her with quiet eyes, not of fear, but of love. One evening, as rain drizzled softly over the roof, Leo placed a small object in Zariah's hand. A ring dot, simple, dot silver, smooth dot double quotes. "I don't know what this means. On your world," he said, "but on mine, it means I want to build a life with you." Zariah didn't speak. Her eyes filled with tears. Then slowly, she slipped the ring onto her finger. "You gave me a new world," she whispered. "Now let me protect it." Far from home, on a planet meant to break them, two alien girls found something greater than survival. They found purpose. They found peace. And they found a human who proved that, even in the harshest corners of the galaxy, love is never a punishment.